Hi everyone, my name's Philosopher, and welcome to Game Explained. And just before we begin, if you like this video, please leave a like, and if you really like the video, drop a sub. So for Ninja Gaiden 2, we're going to be covering everything from the game. Level, lore, bosses, and really anything I can think of when I'm writing this. So just before we begin, let's do a quick recap of the first game. Ryu Hayabusa is our main protagonist. He's part of the dragon lineage and wields the dragon sword, and fights spider ninjas and scary looking monsters. There's also another sword called the Dark Dragon Blade that's super evil, like really evil. Ryu protects that sword from falling into enemy hands. Then on a nice sunny day, Ryu decides to visit his cousin Mirai since it's so nice out, and he wants to shoot some hoops with him because no one has been trying to take the sword in a long time, and he's just pretty bored now. So walk into Mirai's, man, hopefully no one takes the Dark Dragon Blade on the one day that I leave my village. That would upset me very much, and I would tear up, Ryu says. We get to Mirai's fort and shoot some hoops. Fuck you, Mirai, I won. We head back inside to cool down and grab some water, but looking out the window, Ryu sees his village is on fire. Fuck. So he runs back into town. We meet Doku, our Sith Vader ninja. I knew you were going to play hoops today, Ryu, so I came for the sword, Ryu. Ryu's like, what? No way. I won't tolerate that. You're being a jerk, Japanese Darth Vader. I mean Doku. Doku is now offended that Ryu thinks he's a cheap knockoff of Darth Vader and kills Ryu and takes the Dark Dragon Sword. We then get revived by this falcon, which was pretty lucky for us. I think he's a god, but I can't be 100% certain. We then go across the land in an airship to the Vigorian Empire, which it's pretty much North Korea. The blimp goes down like the Hindenburg, but we make it to the city. We fight our way through the town, and shit, now there are monsters popping up everywhere. We meet a girl named Big Booba, but turns out that's not her real name. No, her actual name is Rachel. She tells us that those monsters are fiends. They are like demons, but aren't called demons, but are the same thing as demons. We learn that fiends used to be human, and Rachel's bloodline is special because she draws her powers from the fiends. Just like Ryu's dragon lineage blood, it too draws the same power as the fiends. Rachel says Doku transformed her sister, Alma, into a greater fiend monster. And there's also been a creepy mystery man following us all throughout the town. How very mysterious and more or less creepy. We decide to do some prayers at the church for Alma. God hears our prayers and throws Alma through the window, but, well, she's still evil. Well, thanks, God. We fight Alma and defeat her. Somewhat. The top of her head falls off, but she's still alive. Rachel, I've cured her fiendness, Ryu says. She still looks like a fiend, yes, but she's much friendlier now. Because, well, she's paralyzed and can't move. Rachel, not wanting a vegetable to be her sister, is about to kill her, but she can't bring herself to do it. Pussy! And Alma speeds out of the church and escapes. Ryu heads off to find the sword, but Rachel stays behind. She turns around and Sith Doku is there, and they fight. Rachel promptly gets a clean pimp smack, knocking her out, and Doku takes her, and she will be used to unleash the awakening. Ooh. Ryu, getting lost along the way to find the sword, runs into Doku. Oh, fancy meeting you here. Do you happen to know where the sword is? I can't seem to find it. And hey, wait a minute. You killed me. And you have Big Booba with you. They end up fighting, and Ryu kills Doku. But not so fast. He then turns into a ghost and flies away. We save Rachel, but Ryu turns around for 1 second, and when he goes to look back, she's already caught again. God damn it, Rachel. Doku brings the awakening by electrocuting Rachel, stealing her power, and giving it to Alma. Alma looks like she's about to turn nuclear, but all the awakening did was turn Alma into a centipede thing. Like, wait, that's it? Yeah, that's the awakening. How anticlimactic. I thought there would be tombstones falling out of the sky and the world would be on fire and everyone would just end up dying. But no, she's just a bug now. We end up fighting Alma again and we defeat her. Doku is just about to kill Rachel, but Alma turns into a human kind of. At least her eyes. She got her soul back, I guess. Or I just smacked her enough times to make her remember who her sister was. So Alma climbs up the pyramid and saves Rachel by jumping in front of Doku's sword, but then rightfully just explodes, killing everyone in a 40-mile radius. Just kidding, while she did explode, but that just turned her back into a human. Doku, upset, flies away, and we follow his ghost like the Ghost Hunters crew. You guys remember that show? I watched it all the time. We follow him around, and we're trying to communicate with the dead Doku. Doku, are you here? Can you knock something over to let us know you're here? So we end up fighting Doku's ghost and killing him, sending him even deeper into hell or like double hell. I don't know what happens if you're a ghost and you die. But he then curses us with the fiend curse, and this turns Ryu into a smurf. We then somehow make it to the fiend underworld and fight the fiend devil himself. We beat him to get the demon statue to unlock the door to heaven, I guess, or at least I think that's where we went. There's a giant field full of flowers and it looks very heavenly. And there's an angel-looking statue there. So I'm not too sure, you tell me. But that turns out to be the Vigorian Emperor, and he's got the Dark Dragon Blade. So we kill him. The curse is then lifted on Ryu, saving us from, I don't know, I guess becoming a fiend or dead or something. We then escape a cave, and the sword goes flying out, and the mystery man gets a hold of the Dark Dragon Blade. Turns out Mirai is the mystery man. Cousin, you brought so much shame on our family, and we just played hoops together. How could you do this to me? Because I'm like super evil. That game we played, I'd let you win to get your hopes up so I can crush you again, Ryu. You suck. And who calls them hoops anymore? You take that back, Mirai. Too late. It's already out in the open. Rachel heard it all. Lol. Who calls the game hoops anymore? Ryu, embarrassed and upset, fights Mirai and beats him. Ryu then destroys the Dark Dragon Blade and turns into a falcon and flies into the sunset. And that's the entire game. Super quick recap, but luckily for you, I have an entire video of the complete story of the first game that you should check out. It goes way more into detail about everything, and it's a pretty good video. So what's interesting about this game is there's actually a prologue video that we can watch. This will set up the story for the rest of the game. It states that there are vampire fiends that are fiends, but they also just so happen to be vampires. I want to suck your blood, blah, blah. So the vampires have been fighting the dragon lineage clan forever now, for centuries. First time I'm hearing about this, but okay. This prologue is also in a comic book fashion or a manga book. I guess since it's made in Japan, or do Japan have comic books? Looking into it, mangas are pretty much the same as comic books. And thinking about it, yeah, that does make sense. Only with Western comics, it's about superheroes. And in Japan, it's all about a 16-year-old high school student who has superpowers, but is also kind of a pervert. But it's all about friendship, and he can't get any puss. Anyways, the final battle is about to start between them. Batman is on top of the building and it's storming out. There's thunder and lightning and it's very dark and gloomy. The Batman guy, his name is Crimson. He's a super strong vampire fiend and one of the highest level of fiends on this planet. What are his abilities, you might ask? Well, he has super hearing and dwells in eternal darkness. That's it. He's just a bat. No super strength or speed or anything. He just has really good ears and lives in darkness. How lame. We then learn about Joe Hayabusa, and he's the leader of the Hayabusa clan, and Ryu's father. And what type of name is Joe? All the other characters in this game have very Japanese names, and then there's just Joe. Joe is not even Japanese sounding. His parents must have had a hard time coming up with a name or something to name him Joe. And I'm just gonna play a little clip from this prologue and just listen to the voice acting, and you tell me what's wrong with it.
Hayabusa style is on a drop.
So they fight, and Joe does the Hayabusa style, and Ryu shows up, and together they defeat Crimson. So we head back to the Hayabusa village. Guys, you forgot to finish coloring the panels. You gotta finish your work. We then meet Momji. She is the young sister of the Shrine Maiden Korea, something like that. The one from the first game that died. Also, Momji will soon be my wife. I absolutely love her. She asks about Joe and how he's doing, but Ryu says he will be fine. But Momji informs Ryu that the Spider Ninja clan launched an attack in Tokyo. If you remember, they show up in the first game from time to time, but they weren't the main focus of that story. They were just kinda there. And that's it. Ryu gets word that the Spider Ninjas are in Tokyo, and he heads there. That's the entire prologue. But what about these vampire fiends? Well, they were just fighting them at that time, and that's it. At no time during the story or the vampires ever brought up ever again. Some of the bosses look like vampires, but looking online, they're not part of the vampire clan. So I think this game's story at first was supposed to be about this vampire clan, and that would be our main antagonist, but the story got changed in development or something happened, so they just left it in the prologue. Kind of switching up. This prologue is a bit of a waste of time. It doesn't add anything to the story other than Ryu's heading to Tokyo to fight the Spider Clan, but I can say that in one sentence. Why not just add some text at the beginning of the game instead of making a shitty like comic movie about it? So far, I'm not too impressed, but I did like the voice acting. It's just golden, so I have to give him props. So starting the game, chapter 1 begins, and we're now in Tokyo. And they got like flying cars and everything. They're super advanced. We see Master Swordsmith Muramasa's shop.
Muramasa.
And I hope I'm saying that right. I'm pretty sure I'm not, but I don't care. He was the shopkeeper from the first game, if you guys remember. And we see Special Agent Sonya in the shop talking to Muramasa. She's looking for Ryu because she has news of a terrible danger facing the world, and it must reach Ryu because only a master ninja like him can stop it. No one else can ever deal with it. It's always us. Muramasa says he ain't no snitch and doesn't know where he is, and even if he did, he wouldn't tell her. Speaking about Muramasa, I thought his voice sounded really familiar, but I couldn't place my finger on it. And upon doing research, Muramasa's voice actor is played by Paul Edding. Now, he's in a bunch of different games, but I think the most famous one he's probably known for is Abraham Washington from Fallout 3.
Do you have business with Ryu?
I do.
And what might that be? Fourth, in 1776, a group calling themselves the Second Judgmental Congress got together at Fort McHenry in Maryland.
They sound exactly the same. That just must be what an old man sounds like to him. But that's where I recognize his voice. And something that I didn't know and surprised me was he would also voice Colonel Campbell from Metal Gear Solid. I love Metal Gear, but I had no clue that was him. So it was just really cool. And he's in a bunch of other things too. His list is super long. And I might as well talk about the other main voice actors. For Ryu, he's played by Joss Keaton, who is the voice of actually Ocelot from Metal Gear as well. Man, they got all the Metal Gear cast in this game pretty much. I love it. Sonya is played by Kari Walgren, who plays Jessica from the TV show Rick and Morty. Anyways, a guy comes flying through the door, knocking all of Muramasa's stuff over. Like, what was your plan here? You just bust in and you fall on your ass? So Sonya just shoots him, like what else would you expect? And she makes her way outside. There are more spider ninjas out there, and one of the ninjas knocks her guns out of her hands. She tries to run away, but a ninja whips a chain around her and she gets caught. Surrounded and about to be finished off, but a shuriken comes flying into the back of one of the spider clan. And Ryu appears and deals with the remaining guys. About to untie her, he gets some axes thrown at him and more ninjas show up. The head ninja guy then takes Sonya away and we get into the gameplay. We fight off the Spider Clan and we head inside Murmasa's shop. And Rio asks who that girl was, but Murmasa doesn't know, but says she was looking for Ryu and that it was about an archfiend. Ryu leaves the shop and sets out to save Sonya. And outside are more ninjas. We fight the enemies off and we open a chest and we find a herb of spiritual life. This is our health potion in this game. Inside our inventory, we also have a talisman of rebirth. And it's the same as in the first game. This item can only be used when you die. Upon dying, you will automatically be revived with full health, but this won't recharge your Ninpo ability this time around. Moving on, we find a dragon statue, and this acts as our save station. Same as the first game, but in Ninja Gaiden 2, when you save for the first time at any dragon statue, it will completely refill your health, which is super nice. We fight more ninjas, and now they're pretty much just standard enemies. They got basic attacks and will throw shurikens at you. But a new feature in Ninja Gaiden 2 is when you do enough damage to an enemy, some of their limbs will be sliced off. When that happens, they move a lot slower, but you can perform the obliteration technique. That will give you a fancy animation and you'll kill them on the spot with an execution. It's really useful, say if there's like a lot of guys attacking you and one of them's about to grab you or something like that, you can perform the execution attack and that'll give you invincibility until the animation is finished. Each weapon in this game has a special execution attack and it's always kind of cool to see what they look like. And let's talk about grab attacks in this game. In the first game, they would grab you all the fucking time. But in this game, they don't grab you as much. But if they grab you and they're missing one of their limbs, they'll just straight up martyr your ass. And they do a shit ton of damage too. Essence also makes a return in this game as well. When the enemy dies or breaking some objects, they drop those orbs that you see. That's called essence. So yellow is for money. There's blue essence, which is to recover some health. And red will replenish your Ninpo abilities. Movement is the same as in the last game. Ryu can wall climb, run along walls. He does this bird flip to reach higher platforms and can swing on poles. I think the platforming is better than the first game, but I still had issues with Ryu not fucking listening to me and doing his own thing when I tried to tell him to wall run. But I would say it's an improvement over the first one. Here we jump across this roof and we find a crystal skull. This is our collectible for this game. It's not as fun collecting these as the scarabs from the first game because you just collect them. I don't think you get any rewards for it. I'm not too sure. I don't think I got anything from them, which is a shame since in the first game, if you collected enough scarabs and you brought them to the shop, Murmasa would give you rewards for collecting so many. From items to weapons. And so in the first game, I always went out of my way to try and find them. And in this game, I didn't try at all. I really wish you got some rewards, which I'm pretty sure you don't get nothing. We make our way down and fight some more spider ninjas. We open a chest and we get our first Ninpo ability. Ninpo abilities are just super powerful special attacks, killing enemies in basically one hit. For instance, we find the Art of the Infernal, which is a giant fireball, and you can shoot them at enemies and bosses, but you can also find other Ninpo abilities throughout the campaign. But you can only use it so many times. See the red orbs underneath my health bar? That's how many times you can use your Ninpo before running out. But we can replenish your Kai with the red essence, or we can use the Devil's Way mushroom as well. Here, I chop off the guy's legs and leave him on this platform. Sorry, bro. And we jump up this well, and I think the game actually looks pretty good. It is the remake of the original Ninja Gaiden 2. This is the Sigma edition, but I was actually pretty impressed with how it looks. There's beautiful cherry blossoms with a nice vibrant pink, and it overlooks Tokyo. It just looks really good. And hey, look, they even have water reflections, which for the original Ninja Gaiden did not. And the environments are a lot more unique in this game since we head all over the world. So you get a lot of variety, and it's not just shit brown caves and gray buildings from the first game. So I give them props for that. Opening up the inventory, we can read some item descriptions for our consumables. And this kind of gets into a little bit of the lore of the world. The herb of spiritual life replenishes our health. It's a dried up medical herb, and it's related to the Yartsa Ganbu, or another name for it is the caterpillar fungus, which, looking it up online, it grows in the Tibetan Plateau in southwest China. And it looks exactly like a caterpillar or worms, and that's because it actually is one. This fungus will find a host insect. It will then make it bury itself underground, and then the fungus will consume it. It's like the Last of Us type shit, really. It's really pop. It's basically a status symbol of wealth. Instead of expensive wines, they cook with the caterpillar fungus to impress guests or to give as a gift to clients. It's also been used in traditional Chinese medicines, and it's said to help improve stamina, fertility, enhances the lungs, treats kidneys, cancer. It basically is a cure-all. Another crazy fact about this caterpillar fungus, it's the rarest mushroom you can find in the entire world. And it's even more expensive than truffles, going for a price of $50,000 for a single pound. I'm in the wrong business, people. That's a fucking gold mine. And I don't care if it will consume me, like in The Last of Us. That will pay off my car. It's a risk I'm willing to take. And other people feel the same way. When they're about to sprout, all the villages will pretty much empty, and people will spend 6 weeks looking for these fucking mushrooms. It's nuts. I just thought that was kinda neat. And I learned something today too, so I can write that off. We can also read about the Devil's Way mushroom. This grows on cliffs, and Shojindo people collect them. Shojindo is a Japanese religion that's a fusion between Buddhist, Taoism, local shamanics, and folk religions. It says the mushrooms are poisonous to most people, but if you can develop a tolerance, it greatly replenishes your Kai. Think of the movie Princess Bride. And lastly, we can read about the Talisman of Rebirth. It will revive you if you're mortally wounded. It is crafted in a sacred cave below a Shinto shrine. Shinto is another religion of Japan, and Shinto literally translates to the way of the gods. And you can see their shrines everywhere in Japan. It says it prevents the person from descending the Yomatsu Hirasaka. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Let me try again. Yomatsu Hirasaka. I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyways, that's a path that leads to the underworld, and a real place you can visit in Japan. There's also a myth about this path. The story goes that when two deities called, and I'm sorry again, Izangi and Azami, Izangi and Azami, they were married. Aw, how cute. But they were brother and sister, so it's like, oh, it's that type of relationship, huh? So anyways, they wanted to have a child. Their first attempt to give birth to a deformed child called Hairuku. And, well, they didn't like what they saw, so they put him in a boat and sent him adrift. God damn. They concluded it was a ritual error since Izami, the woman, should not have spoken first. So they do it again with Azami keeping her mouth shut this time. And it was a success and gave birth to a bunch of other deities. Izangi was given birth to Kagutsi, the fire god. She fatally burned her on the way out, killing her. Izangi is in grief about what just happened, so he takes the Yomatsu Hirasaka trail to get to the underworld, which is called Yomi, to get her back. When she finds her, she has eaten the food of the underworld, so she now can't leave. So Izangi decides that since, well, it's pretty dark in the underworld and it's a little bit cold too, thought it was a big brain play to light a fire right in front of Izami. And she gets absolutely pissed about that, and I have to agree with her. That was way too soon, man. She just died by fire. What were you thinking? Izangi, with the fire, sees her face for the first time, and it's all fucked up. It's rotting, flesh is falling off, and it's just covered in maggots. Izangi freaks the fuck out and dips out, being scared shitless, and Izami starts chasing him down. He reaches the entrance to Yomi and places a giant boulder there, blocking the exit to the underworld. This story shows just because you miss your wife does not mean you should go to the underworld. That seems like a really bad plan. And there's plenty of fish out there. You know, you gotta get back at it. If you actually take the trail found in Japan, you can actually find the stone that seals the entrance, which is pretty spooky. Anyway, we gotta move on. I just thought that was really cool. I love stuff like that. We end up crossing the bridge and we see a big Buddha statue coming to life. Buddha is a spiritual teacher of South Asia and, well, he created Buddhism. So we start chasing him down. We make our way up and we learn the flying swallow technique, which when jumping, you can do a slash forward. We fight a bunch more guys and these magic dude shows up from the first game. They teleport around and shoot Hadoukens at you, but then Big Buddha shows up, so we gotta teach the peaceful teacher a thing or two about the sword. We defeat Buddha, rest in peace, and a door opens and we find a statue that has the lunar staff. It's like the one in Boba Fett, if you guys saw that movie. I love this weapon. It's fast and it has a lot of combos. I use it pretty much throughout the entire story. It's that good. We also find a note from a dead ninja. Now, all the notes in the beginning of this game are just ninjas who can't perform any of the fucking moves that we can. And they're just upset that they can't do it. I'm a bad ninja. I can't do the backflip. And there's like 12 notes of this, of them just sucking. It's like, well, if you're not good at it, why become a ninja? You know, you suck. Take art classes instead, you know, like whatever. So we then find the technique of ultimate guidance. By holding down Y, we can do a bunch of combos and chain them together. And does a shit ton of damage and you can hit multiple enemies. Also, while killing enemies with it, it will drop more essence. Sweet. We get to Murmasa's shop and we can buy the Health Devil Mushrooms, a Talisman of Rebirth, and we can also now buy Grains of Spiritual Life. This is basically a super health potion. It just says that it's made from dragon bones. And these are all the items in the entire game. And I always had so much money in this game that I never needed to worry about finding health potions. A vast contrast to the first game where I had no money at all times pretty much and couldn't buy any health potions or anything. But in this game, I've always had all the items maxed out in my inventory, and I also never really needed to buy them since you find so many throughout the level, and the save station also replenishes your health. Also, I found this game just to be so much easier than the first game. I'm just playing on normal like I did with the first game, but it's so much easier. In fact, I didn't die one time during this campaign. Well, technically I did, but I always had a talisman to revive me. So I don't count that because I never had to press continue. But if you count that as a death, whatever, I don't care. So I had all this essence, but nothing to spend it on. So we move on and we've come across a note that a ninja got stuck on this roof and couldn't find his way out of here. Like, how dumb can you be? Like, you can't find your way out? Okay. I then proceed to get lost and I too don't know where to go. I went back to the ninja and apologized. I eventually found my way out. We drop down onto this bridge and we pick up another technique called the counter technique, which you guessed it, when blocking, you can do a counter attack. We cross the bridge and we get to this giant building. Ryu takes the stairs all the way up to the roof, overlooking the other buildings, and we see Sonya tied up in a chair. We then jump off and fly to the other building, smashing through the windows, which I think is a little dramatic, because as you can see, this building is connected. So why didn't you just go to the right side of the building and go up the stairs in the first place and not risk being a splat on the ground if you miss? But I guess it looks 10 times cooler. So we fight our way up the stairs, and one more thing, there's an elevator right there. Why not just take that? Much easier, but whatever. We get to the top and we barge in, but Sonya is gone. There's no one there. We then hear a helicopter on the roof. and Ryu drops down to the helipad. The leader and the one who kidnapped Sonya stops us and quotes Gandalf before turning into this giant spider. You get it? Spider? He's a spider ninja? We now have to fight him, and he's pretty easy. We take him out, and this chick is taking Sonya into the helicopter. Why wouldn't you leave when we were fighting the spider guy? That would be the perfect opportunity to get away, but instead they just sat there and watched. Ryu run towards the helicopter, but it takes off. Ryu then just starts throwing shurikens at them with no regards if he hits Sonya or not. And he gets that red coat girl right in the face. And for some reason, she kicks Sonya off the helicopter. Why would you do that? Weren't you trying to capture her? And it was clear Ryu couldn't reach you, so why let her go? This chick is pretty dumb. So Ryu runs and catches Sonya before falling to the ground. The red coat girl says she's part of the CIA and they got the time they needed. Well, okay, but why let her go still? I don't know, and I don't care. She flies away. And oh, what's that? A Buddha shows up again, and it's time for round 2. He smashes the ground and takes some swings. He's also got his magic Buddha attack, but we just hit his hands until his head falls to the ground. We perform an execution, and we defeat Buddha. Is it bad luck to destroy a Buddha statue? I would guess so, but we head back to Sonya and she tells Ryu that the CIA uncovered a plan by the Black Spider clan to resurrect the archfiend, and they're heading to the Hayabusa village to get a demon statue to help resurrect the archfiend, completing chapter 1. Chapter 2 begins and we're back at the Hayabusa village, and it's now being attacked by the Spider Ninja clan. And everything's on fire. Wait, was there always a castle in this village? I don't remember one from the first game. And I should also mention that this story takes place 1 year after the first game. So if they built that in a year, good for them. But the castle is on fire and Joe Hayabusa is inside. And he's trying to protect the demon statue. Joe sees Genshin, not the game, but the leader of the Black Spider clan. And well, he's really evil, so they start fighting. We then cut back to Ryu, and we start where the teleporter was from the first game. And it's really cool to see the village again. It's pretty much the same, but they expanded on the village quite a bit. There's a bunch of new areas, and I love when games take you back to certain areas in their sequels with updated graphics and new areas. Since the original Ninja Gaiden was released on the Xbox in 2004, it was a pretty small area and basically the tutorial level. But now, with Ninja Gaiden 2 released on the Xbox 360, they expanded on the village. I didn't play Ninja Gaiden when it first came out, but I can imagine picking up this game and seeing the village again. It would probably be quite the nostalgia trip. Similar to Metal Gear when you go back to Shadow Moses. It's just really cool. And we encounter a new enemy type, these wolves. And they'll just bite you and they somehow throw shurikens at you. Okay, that's a pretty well-trained dog. The shop opens up and every time you open the shop, you hear Murmasa say this line. Be good. Now, you see the light beside the shop? When it's blue, that means you can upgrade a weapon, and that's absolutely for free. Unlike the first game where you had to spend essence to upgrade weapon, you'll just get weapon upgrades throughout the story, which is nice since it's free, but I wish you could still upgrade using essence because I had nothing to spend it on, but it's kind of whatever. We make our way through the village and we get to the river. Ryu can walk on water like he's Jesus himself, and we can also swim underwater. I couldn't believe they brought the swimming back from the first game. Any game designer out there listening to this video, no hack and slash games needs a fucking water section, so stop it.
Stop it.
But this time you don't have an air meter, so you can swim underwater indefinitely. But looking underwater, it looks just like ass. It looks like you're just plastered. Like, I can't see shit. We cross the river and continue on. We find the Falcon's Talons, a new weapon, which is alright. You can attack pretty fast, but I didn't like them, so I never ended up using them. We then fight in the courtyard, heading up to the mountaintop. We now learn that Uzuna drop, which is just XY back to back and forth, and you get to do the Bruce Lee like spin slam attack. I don't know what you call that, this is badass. I love to do this attack. Any chance I got, we make it to the castle and we make our way inside. We then find the bow, and with it, we can now look around using LT, and we can also use it as a projectile. And we then go sniping, but another spider demon drops down from the ceiling and we just beat the shit out of him. We then cut back to Joe and Genshin fighting it out. Genshin makes Joe fall through the floor, but Joe is able to grab the ledge before falling. Genshin then destroys the statue, and inside that statue is the demon statue that they were after. Joe says, "Damn you, Genshin. Like, why are you holding on? You should probably get back up there, right?" So they grab the statue, and just holding it unleashes the fiends and makes Mount Fuji erupts. No ritual or anything. You just have to touch it. That seems like really easy, and that seems like a flaw to me. But I don't know how magic works, so you tell me. We start climbing up to the top of the building, and I found this yin-yang symbols here, but I had no idea what to do with them, and you don't see another one in this game, so I wasn't too sure, and I just left it. We get to the top, and we enter the dragon's mouth. Weird door, but really cool. We get to the roof, and this is my favorite section of the game. You just get to see the mountains and the scenery as you fight the spider clans, and it just looks really good. We make it to the very top of the roof. We run into the building, and Joe finally pulls his ass up, but the roof collapses and he falls to his death. You should have gotten up 15 minutes ago, Joe. Genshin gives the statue to the red coat girl, whose name is Elizabeth. Not Elizabeth, but Elizabeth. That name is more shitty than Joe's. So Elizabeth runs off, and we have to fight Genshin. He's got a cool electric sword, though he's basically Raiden from Metal Gear, but more ninja-y, I would say. He's got a few attacks, mostly slashes, and has this black hole that he can shoot at you, but he's a pushover. Joe then comes in and protects Ryu from Genshin. Well, I guess he's not dead. Joe tells us to chase down Elizabeth while he handles Genshin, and that completes chapter 2. Chapter 3 begins, and Ryu couldn't catch up to Elizabeth. She just gets away. So far away, in fact, that she's now in Manhattan. Piss poor job, Ryu. You really screwed the pooch with that one. We end up seeing the Statue of Liberty, and fun fact about that, the Statue of Liberty was actually built in France, but then it was disassembled and shipped to New York, and it was built in America in 1886. And on top of the statue is Alexei, one of the 4 greater fiends and ruler of lightning. Also, Alexei translates to defender, if you were curious. And he's transforming New York into a fiend realm. Ryu again is on top of a tower and uses his bow to take down one of the flying fiends. He then jumps and rides the fiend to the ground. Once again, you had to climb up that entire building, Ryu. Why not just walk to your location? We start making our way through the city, and there's more wolves this time, but they got swords in their mouth now. I don't have an issue killing these guys, unlike another wolf that looks similar to them. Rest in peace, Sif. You're my favorite. We then do a quick stop at Albert's Burgers, which is my favorite place to eat in New York. And there's also a rental video store. And I'm like, they still got a Blockbuster here? What year did this game come out? Am I that old? And yeah, Blockbuster went out of business in 2014. Like, shit, man, I'm old. We open a chest, and the bats are back from the first game. They drop a decent amount of orbs, but it's nice to see the bats making a return. In the other corner, we find the Vigorian flail from the first game, which was my favorite weapon, but I don't end up using it too much in this game. I'm still hooked on the lunar. We head into the building and we make our way to the roof. We fight those flying fiends this time, and they just shoot fireballs. We take them down with the bow and we cross this giant gap. And man, killing all these monsters sure makes me want to have a barley tea right about now. Looks like the Budweiser logo. Trying to quench my thirst, we jump to the streets and we find a note called The Four Greater Fiends Part 1. It says, millennia ago, before powerful fiends were the four greater fiends. They rose to power and became known as the kings and queens of the fiends. They split up the underworld into 4 sections for each of them. There was one that was the ruler of flame. The second was the ruler of storms. The third is Alexi, ruler of lightning. And last is Elizabeth, the ruler of blood. We move on and we find more puppies. Aw, look how cute they are. They're so cute. Ah, fuck. They almost actually killed me here. And I hate these dogs now because they don't hold still. They just dart around and they throw explosive shurikens at you, using up all my health potions. We find a new Nimble ability called the Art of the Flame Phoenix, which is the fireball shield from the first game. This ability will deal damage if enemies get too close to you. We then see lightning striking the ground right in front of us, and this opens up a giant hole. Inside, these giant purple imp fiends pop out. They look really intimidating, but they're easy as hell. After defeating them, we then drop into the sewers. We find a Jewel of the Demon Seal, and this allows us to upgrade our Nimble ability. And each Nimble has 3 levels to it, same as the weapons. And okay, here, look at this. We climb up the ladder, right? And we can wall run across this wall. But on the other side, there's another wall that looks identical to the wall we just ran across, right? Since we just did it, and it looks the same, I try it out, and we instantly fall to the ground. And I thought I messed up. So I tried again, and I fell again. Now I'm thinking that Ryu doesn't know how to platform, so I tried for a 3rd time and fell again. Turns out it's a fucking invisible wall, but what a shitty one at that. Like, why can't I get over there? There's rubble over there that would stop me from leaving the level, so why can't I just jump over there and look around? I just look like an ass and I'm fucking wasting my time. I'm just trying to find secrets. So anyways, I move on, and we have to wall run across this wall to get to the other side, but there are archers there. So I try to take them out, and I accidentally fell. So I climb back up and try again, but the platforming here is fucking terrible. I keep falling since Ryu doesn't know how to fucking listen. Like, wall run, you fuck. Wall run across, you dick ass. I hate you, Ryu, you donkey, fucking monkey. And I finally made it over after numerous attempts. I then cross this pipe, and oh, a chest. I'll just grab that quickly, and fuck! Moving up the sewers, I find out we can read weapon descriptions. The dragon sword can only be used by someone with the dragon lineage. The Vigorian flail was a weapon used in medieval Europe and was made in the Vigor Empire, which was the main location of the first game. But no one really used it on the battlefield. It was mostly used in Divine Vigor games. Think of the Colosseum in Rome. Falcon talons are just hands and foot claws, and the lunar staff is an Asian-style quarterstaff and is made from a strong piece of wool, treated with oils and waxes. And the outer shell is steel, encasing the wood inside. It says that when the moon enters the new or full phases, the weapon will get slightly heavier each time. If you guys saw the TV show Boba Fett, when Boba is making that weapon, it's pretty much the same thing. We enter the next room and we destroy these giant fans to get past them. And they always have giant fans in games. Have you guys ever noticed that? What is the point of these fans? What would be the purpose, right? Like, they will just blow shit and like smell everywhere. Anyways, we get past the fans and we drop even further down into the sewers. We now get to dive underwater and we head through this pipe. Swim up, Ryu. Up, swim up. We climb out and we climb a subway car. Then wall run across, or that was the plan at least. We get to the subway tunnel. We head down the tunnel and we find this metallic fish looking thing swimming through the subway. Now, this is called a ninja. Ninja, which is basically a mermaid in traditional Japanese lore. Very much different from the haughty mermaids in America with their big boobas. This legend goes back all the way to some of the earliest writings of Japan and is found in a book called Nihon Shoki, which is the oldest book of classic Japanese history. It said that eating one of these ningro will grant eternal life and youth, but you got to make sure to kill it. If not, it will curse you. And not that type of curse, but like a curse. Some legends say that entire towns got destroyed because a fisherman brought one back. And you know what? I'd probably bring one back too. Like, who's gonna believe you if you don't bring it back? That's like saying you saw Sasquatch. No one's gonna believe that shit. You gotta actually capture one. And the most famous tale of this ninja is called Baikuni. The story goes that the fisherman caught one of these fish and he's never seen one before, so he takes it home and invites his friends over to eat it, because that would be the first thing to think of, right? Just eat. Just to eat it. Like, you say you saw a Sasquatch and he caught it and he's like, well, let's dine in. One of the guests knew what was up and warned the others not to eat it, but I guess he didn't tell the guy who caught it. Like, what a shitty friend. But they all then wrapped the fish up and put it in their pockets to throw away on their way home. But one guy was super drunk and he forgot about his piece, so he gets home and he also has a daughter. When he enters, the daughter demands that her father gives him a gift. Dad, not wanting to deal with it, gives her the rat fish by mistake. Here, hun, I got this rat fish in my pocket. Here's your gift. This is it. He goes into the other room. He quickly realizes what he had done. Oh shit. So he runs back into the other room, but it's too late. The daughter ate the fish, but nothing seemed to happen. She actually said it tasted pretty good, so the man didn't worry too much. Years passed and the girl got married, but she never aged again. So her husband grew old and died, so she married again and the same thing happened. And it kept happening and until she finally had enough and said, that's it, I'm gonna become a nun. And that's what she did. She wandered around the earth before heading back to her own village, where she eventually killed herself after 800 years. It's a depressing story, but I give it an 8 out of 10. But I mostly think of this fish from that weird Dreamcast games. Do you guys know which one I'm talking about? That weird, creepy one?
It's time for Seaman to prove he's a sea stud. Oh yeah.
So anyways, we now fight the fish and he just flies around. He doesn't really do too much of anything. Like, he's got like an electric beam and he spawns a bunch of little tiny fishes, but that's about it. We use the bow and we take him out. He explodes and Ryu is way too cool to look at explosions, and that completes chapter 3. We then move on to chapter 4. I found out I can change outfits, so I throw on this slick looking white outfit. Alexi is then spewing poetry out of his ass, which is nothing of importance, and we fight our way through the subway. We then find Art of the Windblade, another Nimpo ability that basically just shoots wind. I don't end up using this one at all. The fireball is just way too good. And we exit the train station. We then make our way through beautiful suburbs of New York, and we make our way to the top of a highway. We get to this bridge, and my god, what is this texture I'm looking at? It's the rain effect. It looks like absolute shit, and it baffled me here. I didn't know what was going on until I realized it's rain. If rain looks like this to you, get some help. Go to the doctor. We make our way to the end of the bridge, and this giant fiend appears, which just looks to me like a hairless King Kong. He even does the chest pound, and we're also in New York, so it must be a reference to that, right? So he's got a shout and stomps around. We defeat the king, and he dramatically falls off the bridge. Like, look at this. Made me laugh, that's for sure. Sonya shows up in a helicopter, and we grab onto it. She says that the Statue of Liberty is the root of what's causing all this stuff happening in New York, and that there's a powerful fiend there. Also, I noticed, where's the military in all this? You'd think they would be a bit more active since, well, this is America and things tend to die over there awfully quick. No one takes away our liberty. She drops us off on the island and we make our way inside. Inside the Statue of Liberty, they got all these Japanese displays going on. I didn't know if you visit there that you can learn so much about Japanese culture. That's really cool. We also find a sword called Inma's Fang. This sword is like the Dabbly Arrow from the first game. It's just a hefty sword. Slow, but it's really powerful. I use this one for a lot of the bosses, but it also has a cool execution. Cuts the guy clean in half. We make our way up the statue and we find another note that's the 4 Greater Fiends Part 2. That said, the 4 fiends, after a bit, all started fighting each other and the world was plunged into chaos. This woke the archfiend known as Vazda. I don't know. It woke him up and he wanted to see what the commotion was. And his gaze alighted upon a man, which is just a fancy word for down. Used in a sentence, it goes something like this. Your mom alighted upon me. So this lone man plummeted into the abyss. We then reach the top of the statue and Alexei exchanges insults with Ryu and we gotta fight him. Alexei looks like one of those vampires from the prologue and talks in a poetic-like fashion, but that's it. Japan actually doesn't really have a native vampire lore itself, and the first appearance of a vampire in Japan was actually in the cinemas during the 1950s. Alexei is pretty agile and slashes at us. He can shoot electricity, but he's actually like super weak. I took him down in like a minute, but I used up all my health potions. He falls into the ocean and we drop down. And as soon as we do that, the Statue of Liberty comes to life. Time for another boss fight. I get stuck between her feet and she just juggles me around. Same as the Buddha statue, we gotta take out her arms first. She's a lot more annoying than Buddha, since when she slams her hand, she does like this electric shock that covers the arena. And she also makes it rain lightning. She's actually like quite annoying to deal with. I didn't see she had a choker on, which is pretty hot, but she had to shoot it. And so I kind of messed that up. I completely didn't realize it, but then I didn't know where to attack her afterwards. I destroyed her hands, so that does no damage. I thought I attacked her chest, but that did nothing. So I was looking around for a few minutes, but turns out you do have to attack her chest, which I thought I did, but maybe it wasn't in the right place or something. But trying again, it did do damage, so I don't know. And she only stands still for like 1 second. It doesn't stop slamming her fucking hands. Like, stop. I finally end up beating the Statue of Liberty, and this fight symbolizes that the fiends tried to chain our freedom down, since the Statue of Liberty represents, well, freedom. But Ryu stops the fiends, freeing the world from the fiends' rule. She starts sinking into the ocean, but Sonya once again comes and picks us up in the helicopter, and that completes chapter 4. Chapter 5 begins, and the spider ninjas have returned to the Hayabusa village for some reason. To burn it down, I guess, but I thought you guys did that the first time you came, but apparently not. And why not do that when you were first here in the first place? Already burning the place down wouldn't it have saved you a trip? But whatever. So the village is on fire and there's this boy probably around 9 or 10 and he's trying to fight off this bird person, but he just ends up flying above him and dropping down onto him, knocking the boy out. The Birdman takes the boy to be used as bait to lure Ryu out, but no one seemed to have told him that he's in America across the fucking ocean and he's not coming for the boy, since how the fuck would he know? The day after, the Shrine Maiden's Momji, who I want to marry, like, look at her. I love her. Wife material. She's walking through the ashes of the village and finds this necklace, which to me looks like a 5 yen coin, which in Japan represents fate, destiny, chance, and relationship, and is commonly used to throw into offertory boxes at shrines for good fate and relationship. This coin belongs to the boy, and we learn his name is Sanji. Momji takes it upon herself to save Sanji, So we end up heading back to Tokyo, which is basically the first level. But she has my favorite weapon in this entire franchise. This wooden sword that has a blade at the end, and on top of it has a shrine. It just looks so badass. We fight a bunch of this spider clan and defeat them. The Birdman comes to deal with us, and so we have to fight him. This bird is actually called a Tenju. It says that they're enormous fire-breathing demigods that have red skin and gold feathers. When they flap their wings, it sounds like thunder and creates really strong winds that can dry up lakes and knock shit over. Some even worship them because they're sworn enemies of the dragons and serpents, so it keeps them away. They protect against poison and disease. They're also viewed as destroyers of sin, devouring the impurities of people. So we are about to kill this Tenju, but he flies off. Pussy! So we go through the level, fighting baddies along the way. We fight some fiends and find Sanji just lying on the ground here. Like, why not tie the kid up? Momji runs towards Sanji, but the Tenju reappear again. Not one, but two this time. And I was not expecting this voice from a Tenju.
Don't underestimate her.
Like, what is that? So we gotta fight the Tenju, and they both have health bars. So we got an Ornstein and Smog type situation. The one will come at you and he's got some swings and will fly up and do a ground pound. And he's also got this real annoying grab attack. Like, stop flying, Tweety Bird, fight me. But with this fight, the other Tenju pretty much just stays away until you defeat the first one. So we take them out and we save Sanji. He says he couldn't protect the village, and no shit, you're 10 trying to fight a deity. In the trees, there happens to be an archer who's taking aim at Momji, where Murmasa shows up and kills him. And this is the only time we play as Momji throughout the entire game. She's got this one level. And we don't ever hear from Sanji ever again in this game, so I'm not too sure what this level is about, besides from an extra level. And you get to play as Mommy Milkers. And that completes Chapter 5. Chapter 6 begins, and we see a bunch of werewolves in a castle. We see the leader, Wolf, ruler of storms. The funny thing about Wolf's name is if you go to the website called Urban Dictionary and type in Wolf, it has a very unique definition of what Wolf means. And I honestly don't think he would like being called that, or maybe he's kinky like that. So anyways, he's being entertained by a fight between one of his minions and a human. They're fighting it out in a gladiator type battle. Obviously, the werewolf wins. He's just too strong and eats the man. But this does not entertain Wolf, and he's just bored and just starts killing his own minions. Like, what a dick. But I can't blame him too much. Like, look at their faces. It doesn't even look like a wolf. Like, what? They look like monkeys. They just look so stupid to me. Wolf says to find him someone strong enough that he can fight. And if they end up finding someone, they will become ruler of this land. So all the werewolves sets off. The town people, I guess, have no idea that there's werewolves in the town and continue shopping and going about their day. That's until the werewolf comes and just starts killing all of them. You're supposed to find someone, not kill people. They're all running away and Ryu's just walking casually. The werewolf is a bit stronger to deal with, but not by much. So you may ask, what deity are these wolves supposed to be? And well, they're just werewolves. That's it. Looking online in Japan, I could only find two things that are similar, I guess, to a wolf. One being the kitsune, which is a fox that can shapeshift, but instead of turning into a wolf, they turn into a human. These kitsune can live up to 100 years, and you can tell how old one is by looking at their tails. They can have multiple tails, but 9 being the max. This is basically a 9-tailed fox. Think of Naruto or even Pokemon. They can also spit fire, create illusions, and enter dreams of humans. And that's not very werewolf-like. And the other creature is a Gahin, I think Gahin, which is, it's a wolf that looks like a human, but they are the messengers of the kami. Kami just means gods, and they're supposed to just keep the peace, and that's not very werewolf-like either. Werewolves are just not too big in Japan's culture either. The same with vampires. They're just straight up werewolves. But we're now in Italy, and we got somewhat of a water level, and so early on too. At least the first game, they put it at the very end of the game, but I guess it's best to get it out of the way. I don't explore in the water because I don't give a shit. I hate water, and it looks like ass in this game. We make our way into town and find the Dragon Claw and Tiger Fangs dually swords from the first game, but I didn't like them as much in this game as the first, so I didn't end up using it. We make our way to this giant fountain, and once all the enemies are defeated, the water drains from the fountain and we can enter and dive under. We swim to the other side of the river and enter a house. We then find the art of the piercing void. This shoots a black hole at people, and I really like this nimble ability. I like it as much as the fireball, so I would say I used it like a 50-50 split between the two. We then lower the drawbridge and we can enter the grounds of the castle. Then attempt to grab the poles to climb up, but they're just too slippery, so Ryu can't fucking grab them. Here I find a chest and I try to figure out how to get to it. I can do this wall run, I just am barely able to reach the top of the ledge. After multiple attempts, I did it by wall running and then slashing down. And oh, I was just supposed to grab this pole and work my way around. But it was cool that I found another way to get it. You know, not too much of that stuff happens to me, so it made me pretty proud of myself. Feeling good, we make our way into the castle and enter the wine cellar because we're in Italy and that's what it's best known for. That, pizza, and Mario. We then find a giant flintlock gun called the Howling Cannon, which, yes, it's a cannon. It's massive and it does a lot of damage. It's a little bit more slower than the bow, but actually not by much. And it deals so much damage, I use it all the time. So we get to the end of the cellar and we can break this floorboard and we fall all the way down into this aqueduct. I swim around like a dick trying to find secret, but there's nothing. So I stop looking. We then get to fight the ghost fish from the first game. They're 10 times more annoying in this game than the first, because once they grab you, you fight them off, they'll just fly around and not attack you again until you get extremely close. And in the first game, they would just wait like a few seconds before coming at you again. But they just attack you once in this game and fuck off and fly around, and won't attack you until you get right beside them. But the only issue with that is when you're on the water, you only do this like kick, so you have a hard time hitting them. It was just really annoying. Anyways, we dive down and we enter this big open space. So I tried to figure out where to go here. I did a bunch of swimming, even swimmed underwater to my annoying. Tried jumping on all the pillars. I shot the pillars, went everywhere, and I looked everywhere, and nothing. What you have to do is kill all these ghost fish in this area. And I guess most people would do that, but they don't really bother you unless you're an inch away from their face or you take a shot at them. So I just wanted to get out of this water area, so I just completely avoided them. But turns out you have to defeat the fish, this invisible Loch Ness monster, and it shows up. It asks Ryu if he had about 350. Ryu tells the Loch Ness monster he ain't gonna give him no 350, and we end up fighting him. He's got this sonic attack and shoots some needles at you. Also, he spawns those annoying fucking fish and it'll just grab you and hold you down. Nessie hardly ever gets close enough for me to hit him, which was super annoying, but we end up taking him down, and that completes chapter 6. Chapter 7 begins, and after defeating Nessie, the pillars will start collapsing, and we can now climb up to the top of the pillars. And god damn it, Ryu, fuck! We make it to the end and we can now enter a cave. And we got these spooky, scary skeletons and they sent shivers down my spine. They had shrieking skulls and they shocked my soul and basically sealed my doom tonight. We then get to this giant pile of bones in this room and we fight a bunch of these scorpion skeletons, I guess. I don't know what they are. And here I got my first 100 hit combo, which I thought was pretty impressive. Ryu finds a skull on the ground and he just ends up punting it for some reason. Satisfied with himself, we head to leave, but that skull caused this giant ruckus, but then a even bigger skeleton appears, and he's got a crotch skull on. He takes a few swipes at us, but we make him fall on his ass. But he takes a lot of hits actually. He's probably the toughest boss in this game so far. We end up taking a lot of hits, but we're able to defeat him. He then falls apart, and he spoke with such a screech, you will shake and shudder in surprise. We're so sorry, skeletons. You're so misunderstood. You only want to socialize, but I don't think we should. We then take the path up the cave, and there's just the body hanging here, and it just looks so out of place. I just started blasting at it. I thought it was a secret or something, but nope, I'm just disturbing the dead. We make our way out, and all those skeletons are from the gallows. Like, god damn, how many people were being hung in Italy? Fun fact about that, the last execution in Italy was in 1947, and it was from the Silicon robbers convicted of murder. They threw 10 people down a well, still alive, and just left them there. Like, holy shit, that's brutal. Ever since that, they have had no capital punishment in the country. Wolf sees us and makes a giant, and oh my god, I just realized his name is Wolf because he looks like a wolf. I just got it. How clever. He does a shout, and he makes it a bit more cloudy. We start making our way to the castle, and hey, it's the fiends from the first game. I'm glad to see them come back, even if I have no idea what they're supposed to be. We arrive at the main gate, but it's locked. Luckily, there's a ladder right next to it, so we can make our way up to the roof. We swing on some flagpoles, and we smash through the window to get inside. We stomp some fiends, grab a snack in the kitchen. We go to the dining hall, and we find the tonfa, a martial arts stick. The funny thing about the tonfa is it's also known as the old man stick. That sounds about right, since I thought it sucked and never used it. We head up the stairs to the library and climb out the fireplace like Santa, which this part makes no sense since this just leads to another fireplace upstairs. Like, you're gonna fill that entire upper room with smoke. And how is the person upstairs supposed to light the fire when there's no ground to set the wood on? It would just fall down to the first floor. I don't know. We get to the very top of the castle and find Wolf there. He congratulates us for getting this far and for being pretty strong. So Wolf wants to fight us, but he doesn't want to do it here. He wants a traditional fight in the Colosseum. So we drop down a trapdoor and we're back outside the castle. We make our way to the Colosseum, and it's filled with all these werewolves. They're just going crazy. Wolf says Ryu is a proven warrior and just gets the crowd hyped. It gets the people going. Wolf is quite like the showman, actually. I'm really impressed. We take down the almighty Wolf, and I actually really love his design. He's one of my favorite bosses in this game. I would say the only thing about Wolf is he's actually quite the bitch, and we kill him in like 30 seconds. The crowd is stunned by what they just witnessed.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
So they storm the crowd like every European soccer game when they get a little upset that their team's losing. We pick up Wolf's scythe, and I love scythes in any game for that matter. It's my favorite melee weapon. It just looks so dope. And in this game, it's actually really strong. But we start getting overrun, but Sonya shows up in her helicopter, and with some American firepower, she starts firing the rockets at the crowd, and we hop onto the chopper and we take off. That completes chapter 7. Chapter 8 starts, and we're now back in New York City, and well, the city went to shit again after Ryu left somehow. Like, did we not deal with the main reason the fiends were there? Okay, sure. So I was thinking maybe this happened during the time that Ryu was there. But no, it's afterwards. And look, it's our friend from the first game, Mr. Fiend Devil himself. He's still alive somehow, even though we killed him in the first game. So I thought maybe this was like a new devil guy, but no, he's the same one. And he's back somehow, and he wants revenge, and so he's looking for Ryu. We then see Rachel. She's back, which I was kind of hyped for, actually. Seeing her again. Not because she's a deep character, but I think you can take a guess why. I still like Momji more than Rachel. Momji fan club all the way. She takes out a fiend, and there is something in the sky.
What was that? What was that? What was that?
I love how she says that. I don't know. It was just pretty funny to me. So anyways, Rachel still got her axe, but instead of a grappling hook as a projectile, she has an fucking automatic now, which is cool, I guess, but I wish she still had the grappling hook. I always do like when old characters make a return in newer games, especially since I thought Rachel was a write-off from the first game, like you would never see her again. And even if she adds nothing this time around, it's just nice to see her back. So we fight our way through the city. We get to the skyscraper that's under construction. We start climbing up and get to this giant elevator. Hordes of fiends appear, and we fight them off while going up the elevator. A fiend shoots a pink orb and knocks out the elevator. Oh no, Rachel! She then grapples up. She does have the grappling hook. She starts grappling up and blasts all the fiends away with her machine gun. We reach the top and get to the roof. There, we find the fiend devil. He says he can smell the fiend blood coursing through her veins. And if she's looking for Ryu, they should probably team up. But Rachel says, well, I don't know about that. And the devil fiend picks up that she is an enemy, so we end up fighting him. He has the same attacks as the first game, a fireball, ground pound, and does the spiral attack. He can also summon fiends again too. Once again, he's a bitch and we slice off his horns and he falls off the skyscraper. With that, the rain stops and the sky clears up and we see the Statue of Liberty. Wait, what? Did this bitch not sink in the ocean? Now it's just back to normal in a couple of days? Okay, sure. Did they build it that fast? Like, I get it's America. No one takes away our liberty. I don't know, that's my American accent, but that would take like 10 years for America to rebuild. Anyways, that completes chapter 8, and we never see Rachel ever again. Same as Bonji, this is her only level. Chapter 9 begins, and Rio and Rachel are just flying around looking for baddies. Like, are they over there? No. Oh, what about over there? No. What about, please stop talking, Rio. Finally, they find this giant airship flying right around them. I'm like, oh, is that them? Yes, that's them, Ryu. So Ryu jumps out of the helicopter, landing on the plane and splatting all over the ground since it's solid metal. The ship is a fortress, and they got these giant mechanical turrets that probably cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to build. But luckily, we have a primitive weapon known as the bow, and it easily destroys the turret in a single hit. Sonya, being a typical American, starts launching missiles at the ship, but she gets shot down. We end up fighting these robots being controlled what looks to me like a vampire or an elf. I guess it could be a zombie too, I guess, but they got no arms or leg. It's all brain power, baby. And we make our way inside the airship. We now fight these tactical spider ninjas. You can tell they're tactical by their night vision goggles. We end up getting lost and no one's really friendly enough on the ship to help us out. So we end up taking a lift down. And what about this mecha dragon? Nope, he's a dick too. We get stopped by some red lasers, so we take the walkway across to the other side of the ship. We get to an engine room and Ryu destroys the engine and it's about to overload. Ryu didn't want to learn his lessons from the first game when he smashed the controls for the Hindenburg and it ends up going down. But that got rid of our laser problem though. We then take a lift up and we get to another engine room, smashing their control panels too. We head back the way we came and we get to the beginning of the level. We take another lift down, and how many lifts does this plane have? Holy shit. We end up crossing a wing and we end up back at the other control room that we just were at. Wait, we just do a giant loop? I go, okay. But this time in the hallway, it falls apart and Ryu jumps to safety while the other half of the plane falls apart and explodes. We get blasted by an explosion. Turns out it's Sonya with a rocket launcher. Like, Jesus Christ, Sonya, watch where you're shooting that fucking thing. You almost killed me. We move across another wing and we enter the door. To our surprise, Genshin is here to greet us and he's pretty upset that we're blowing up his ship. He tells us to knock it out and Ryo's like, nah. And we end up fighting him again. He's a lot tougher than the first time we fought him, but we end up taking him out. The ship explodes and the tail end of the plane falls apart with Genshin inside. And he's just like staring at us as he plummets to the earth. Ryu and Sonya find her motorcycle, of all things, and Sonya blows a hole out of the plane and they jump out on this motorcycle, making a perfect landing and riding down this snowy mountain. Ryu then wipes out, like, really? You wipe out going straight, but you can jump out of a plane and you're fine? Okay. And this fire armadillo bounces out of that plane too. Like, what the fuck? That was on the ship? We end up fighting him. He erupts with fireballs and stomps around. You can also breathe fire, which is kind of neat. I got no health since the Genshin fight was just 1 second ago, so I gotta be careful. I can't end up dying here. And nice, we kill him with a sliver of health left. Nice.
But
I had a talisman of rebirth, so you know what we say to death? Not today. And that completes chapter 9. Chapter 10 begins and the plane crash lands not too far from Mother Russia, and the military is moving into positions toward Deodos.
Zidonius,
I think is his name. And he's the ruler of Flame, and our last greater fiend. He starts trash talking the army, calling them monkeys, and once the archfiend awakens, humans will know their place on this earth. So he gives them an ultimatum: submit or die. The Russians, being, well, Russians, don't really listen to anyone besides from Mr. Putin, and start shooting at Deodos. Deodos then uses his hyper beam on them, and just like real Russian tanks, they blow up instantly. They're useless. Ryu arrives in Mother Russia, and we start making our way through the city. We fight a bunch more tactical ninjas and some wolves along the way. We ended up at the mall, but like Russia's real economy, all the shops are closed since no one's got money there. Like, damn. You know, I kind of want to get some of those stacking dolls. We leave the mall and they place a bunch of mines on the sidewalk. So all I got to do, I just got to walk really carefully here. Like, I can't mess this up. And fuck! Oh, come on! I'm on the path! Shit! We head inside this fancy building and we go up the stairs. Oh, look, I got to wall run across. All right, Ryu. Master Ninja. It's super easy, right? And fuck you, Ryu. Wall run, you dick. We get to the top and we can now drop down into this tunnel. Going through the tunnel, we end up at the metro. The Russian metro system is one of the busiest subway systems in the entire world. It's very extravagant. Like, looking it up, like, yeah, holy shit, it's actually like really nice. They got chandeliers and everything. Damn. It makes New York subway system look like a third world country. Leaving the station, it's the return of the apes. He didn't die the first time and traveled all the way over here to fight Ryu again. We kill King Kong again, and Deodos shows up and starts shit-talking Ryu, and then just ends up flying away. We then enter the Gulag and enter an underground tunnel. We gotta cross this body of water, but on the other side are all these rocket launcher guys. So here we can just run by, and we get to the bell tower. We now have to climb up these gears, and you gotta be careful, people. Gears are extremely dangerous, and we reach the top, and Deodos is there, and he says he's the one who granted humans fire. Ryu has a comeback.
It wasn't in my history book.
And Deodos is like, that's pretty ignorant, Ryu, so we fight. Deodos is actually really easy. He's got fireballs, he's got an annoying grab, but I love his design. Him and Volfs are the best bosses in this game. He looks just so evil, it's great. But as the same as Volf, he's actually quite a bitch. He catches on fire and promptly explodes, and Ryu teleports like a block away, and that completes chapter 10. So chapter 11 begins, and we learn about a Kanochi. Kanochi just means female ninja, which I didn't know. I thought that was pretty cool. And it's no other than Anane, and she is with Master Joe. Oh, he's still alive? Last time we saw him, he was fighting Genshin, but what happened after? Did they just call it a draw? Don't know. Anyways, Joe tells Anane she's got to go to Italy to get back the eye that was stolen by the Black Ninja clan, since Ryu is going to need it. What's this eye, I hear you say? It's a stone that holds a mighty dragon inside, and when it's combined with Ryu's dragon sword, it can manifest its full power. We see it in the first game when we go to the grave of the first shrine keeper. Anane gets to Italy and she's got a much more revealing outfit this time around. I guess she ditched the chainmail spandex for this butterfly outfit because she's getting older. You know, she's got to rebel against the system. And she is searching for a man all across Japan just to find her samurai. If anyone gets that reference, I'll be thoroughly impressed. Anane is not too bad to play as. She's got 2 daggers and they hit pretty quick, and she has the best execution in this game. It's just so brutal. I love it. We fight through the streets of Italy, slaying fiends and kicking ass. You know, we're floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. We do that all the way to this giant courtyard, and my god, them knockers. But this witch drops down from a building. Anane asks where the stone is, and the witch has eaten it. Now this witch looks like a lot like the Baba Yaga to me. And what the Baba Yaga is, it's a witch from Russian folk tales. See, she's basically a witch who eats kids and makes potions and does all the normal witch stuff. But she lives in a hut built on top of 4 chicken legs for some reason. But the interesting part about her is that she doesn't fly around on a broom. She does carry one, but she actually flies around in a mortar. And the broom is used to wipe away her tracks, which makes no sense. If you're flying, you don't need to cover your tracks, lady. But if we look at this witch, the bottom half of her looks pretty similar to a mortar, just like the Baba Yaga. It's just a bit more rounded, but the game doesn't really go into detail about this witch, so that's my best guess. But that could just also be the bottom part of a spider, because they're the spider ninja clan. What do you call that? You know, like the big spider part. And she's got like long arms and got a bunch of eyes, so I'm sure it's not the Baba Yaga, but that's what I thought when I first saw her. We start fighting Baba Yaga, and she's got real stretchy arms and does some spins and backflips, but she's easy as hell. Anane defeats her, and her bottom part then explodes, and we get the eye of the dragon back. Anane runs off to find Ryu, and as the witch lies dying on top of this building, we see this mystery redhead girl, and that completes chapter 11. And that mystery girl never shows up again in this game, so I'm like, who the fuck is this? And doing some research, her name is Kasumi, and she's actually from the Dead or Alive series, since Team Ninja makes Ninja Gaiden, but also Dead or Alive. So she got a quick cameo in this game. And I guess in the 3rd installment of Ninja Gaiden, you can actually play her as an unlockable character, so that solves that mystery. The same as the rest of the girls, you only play Anane for this one chapter, but she does make an appearance later on. We then start chapter 12. We learn Elizabeth has gone all the way to South America. So Ryu is in Russia and now has to go all the way over to South America. And a flight from Russia to South America is a 35-hour flight. So Ryu has to chill on this plane, which I guess doesn't sound bad for what he's been through, but behind him is a child, and he's pissed that he's got to take this flight as well. He's kicking his seat, and the mother is doing nothing. Ma'am, can you please tell your kid to stop kicking my seat? She just says, oh, he's just playing around. That's what kids do. Mind your own business. I know how to raise my son. It's like, oh, god damn it. We end up in South America, and we're now in the jungle. Ryu's swimming around, out of sight, sneaking around, but not for long, since Ryu likes to show off what he can do. So he's running on the water, so the rocket guys notice him. Why swim and sneak around? Just for you to get the attention of everyone in this camp. You might as well just rented a boat and went to the main gate, saving you some trouble. So I get lost and try jumping around like some dick before I find we can swing on some of these trees like Tarzan. We also get to fight these bugs, and I think they're the same ones from the first game. After beating them and getting malaria, I tried to cross this rope, and Ryu just starts swinging around like some asshole, and he just gets blown up by this rocket launcher guys, knocking us right into the water. So I go all the way back and cross. Now, people, can you tell me what the most dangerous thing is in the rainforest? Snakes? All right, that's a pretty good answer, but no. Poisonous bugs? Oh, that's closer, but not quite. No, it's fucking zombies with a chainsaw and a cannon for a hands. Like this doesn't even make any sense. We got a giant worm here. You know, that's more believable. I'm sure there are plenty of worms in the rainforest. But then there's just these robots. Robot zombies. Like, okay, game. Anyways, we get to a river and a bunch of dead spider ninjas are floating down the river. That's awfully suspicious. So we continue on and we get to the cliffside and we see Niagara Falls, and there's Elizabeth riding a dragon, and she whistles and another dragon flies towards us. And well, it's a dragon. I don't think I need to explain what a dragon is to you. We cut off the tail, beat him up, and that completes chapter 12. We're now on to chapter 13, and on top of the waterfall is Elizabeth, and she's holding the demon statue. She then uses it and it just starts raining blood. So we start moving and the blood is just everywhere. It's a real mess. Up ahead is a cave that we can enter. We fight some fiends and we get to this like poison swamp, I guess you would call it. Maybe not a swamp, like water, poisonous water. I don't know. It deals like little bit of damage, but that's it. We wall run out of there, and dropping down, we find some ruins. Here, we find a lot of the flying fiends and we cross the bridge. We have an epic fight with the imp fiends and we get to the temple. And the fiends are just partying it up. They got music going, there's food, there's entertainment, and everything. It's just a swell time. And there's Elizabeth, and she's gotten hard somehow. I'm not too sure how that happened. Maybe I just didn't notice it before. And she's walking around with the demon statue and presenting it like it's round 5 at a UFC event. Here we meet Degradai. And if you remember the notes from the Statue of Liberty about how a man went into the abyss, well, it was Degradai, and he became a fiend in the abyss. Elizabeth gives Degradai the statue, but he is not pleased because, well, he smells the dragon blood in the air. He wants him dead, so he sends all his minions after Ryu. Ryu climbs up the stairs and fights a lot of guys along the way, and we make it to the ritual room. Like, hey guys, did I miss the party? And oh my god, can we get married, Elizabeth? We end up talking and she won't tell us where they went. And she transformed into her fiend form. And she flies around. She's pretty quick. She's also got a tail, like nice. But she is no match for Ryu. She then gets flushed down the toilet. Like, I can't take your threats seriously when you're spinning like that. Genshin is also there, and Elizabeth wouldn't tell us where they are, but Genshin is just like, well, yeah, I can tell you guys. Like what? Why? Like, okay, sure, tell me. It turns out they're heading to Mount Fuji. Well, thanks for the info, Genshin, I guess. Sonya shows up, and she's here to help Ryu, but Ryu won't let her come with us because it's too dangerous. And that completes chapter 13. Chapter 14 starts, and we're back at the Hayabusa village castle. Nane shows up and gives Ryu the Eye of the Dragon. With the Eye of the Dragon, it transforms his sword into
the true dragon sword.
And it just glows now. Super cool. We make our way down to the village, and all the dogs have become fiends. And they're also suicide bombers now. That's just great. We head down the path, and more Tenju guys show up, but they're just as much as a bitch as the last time we fought them. We slay the evil birds, and we cross the bridge. And now there are 2 spider ninja guys that we got to get past. We defeat them, and we leave the village. We head back to the first area of the original Ninja Gaiden. I cut some grass along the way because they need to like trim the path up. We then make it back to Mirai's fort. Like, how nostalgic. Even though I played the first game about a week ago for the first time, it feels like ages. And man, this place like really went to shit in a year. Like, I could imagine picking up Ninja Gaiden 2 after so many years, and you get to see like the fort all run down. It would be super cool to see. We head through the fort and we make it to the very first section of the first game. But now we can cross this rope to get to the other cliffside. And there are a bunch of spider ninjas here. So many, in fact, that we get surrounded by them. But then Murmasa shows up, and he's actually kind of a badass. Murmasa said shit's going down on top of Mount Fuji, but he's too old to get to the top of the mountain, so he's been waiting for Ryo to show up. He explains long ago that the dragon ninjas locked away the archfiend, and now it's Ryo's job to stop it. And he also gives us some rice balls. Like, oh, what a nice guy. Thanks, Murmasa. We speed run up the mountain, killing all the spider ninjas in our path. Another Tenju shows up. These birds don't know when to quit. They're like seagulls after my McDonald's fries. We keep climbing, and we finally reach the foot of the mountain. We climb to the very top, and the volcano is active, and it's starting to erupt. Genshin is waiting for us on top of the volcano, and he's got the high ground.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
He's been waiting for us, so it's time to fight him for a third time. And for the third time again, we kick his ass, and he's now dead. Ryu then just jumps off the volcano into it, but someone approaches Genshin's body, saying how it's not over yet. And that completes chapter 14. Chapter 15 begins, and it says we're deep within of Mount Fuji, and inside is the underworld, I guess. That's what it says. It says right there, see? And now Ryo needs to travel through to stop Degradai's ritual before the archfiend awakens. We start, and the underworld has machine sex dolls. You know, some people's hell is another man's heaven, but I have no time to enjoy myself with these dolls. I gotta stop a ritual. I'll come back later. We traverse the underworld, slaughtering each fiend with precision strikes. We then run into the fiend devil again. Didn't we kill you 2 times now? But magically he's alive again and wants revenge for the first time we killed him. Once again, we defeat the fiend devil for a 3rd time, and now he's dead because, well, his body turns into ash. So it's official now. We see Degradai doing his ritual in this like green bubble area, which would probably make for a killer club. We get closer to the bubble, but have to cross some lava, and the lava does like barely any damage. And look who it is. It's Degradai, and he's back, saying how he could never die. But turns out, well, he can die, and he melts in the lava, which is weird because he's the fiend of fire, so shouldn't that kind of protect him from fire? But I don't know. After defeating him, we get his heart, and we can finally cross the lava to get to the other path. Going down the path, we reach a spooky forest, and it's haunted by the evil spirits of ghostfish. We exit the forest and find Voth on the other side, and he's got these centaur friends now, and we fight them, and they're annoying as fuck. They just run around like, hold still. Fuck. Afterwards, we fight both and beat him again, this time turning into ash. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Ain't that right, both? But we get his heart, and that completes chapter 15. Chapter 16 begins, and we open this giant underworld door. We have reached the building where the ritual is being held, and we cut to the ritual, and we see what I can only describe as a turtle. And we learn the archfiend name is Vazda, and Degradai then goes full Sith and electrifies the archfiend, and his eyes start to open. Ryo fights his way through, which is probably the longest hallway I've ever seen, fighting fiends and sex dolls alike. We then see Alexei making his return to the underworld, and he has captured Sonya and made her wear this like Princess Leia outfit. Like, okay. 30 minutes later, Ryu is still going down the hall, and the fucking Tenjus show up again. We finally make it to the end of the hallway, and we enter this butthole. We then start a prostate exam and destroy these sacks, and I started using my bow for this, and all these ninjas like spew out of it. And it was just so random. It caught me off guard. Like, why are they in these sacks? We slide down and fight more sacks along the way, and we destroy them. And now I just keep comboing off just in case some have enemies inside. The last one has a giant spider, and like the spider's bigger than the sack. How does that work? We drop down to the next area, and there's Sonya in a bird cage. Alexei says she's a canary, and she's like, stop that. And he's like, yeah, sing for me, Sonya. But Ryo drops down, and now Alexei is pissed. We stomp him again, and we rescue Sonya from the cage, but Ryu just tells her to stay here. So, like, you might as well, like, just hop back in that bird cage. Like, it has a bed, it's got some water, and so you just wait here for a little bit. And that completes chapter 16. We are now at the final level of the game, chapter 17. It begins with Ryu heading deeper into the butthole, and it's all bloody, like, ew. We fight ninjas in a pool of blood, and we get to the main building. And, well, guess who's back? It's Genshin. But this time, he has returned as a fiend. He has the same moves, but now does have some fire attacks. For the fourth and final time, we defeat Genshin and falls to the floor. Genshin says it's getting dark and quiet, and states how he fought for what he believed in, hoping for a better future with the Spider Ninja clan, and that he has no regrets. He's doing the same thing that Ryu's doing for his clan. They have different world views and ideologies. They're sworn enemies to each other, but at the core of each of them, they're just soldiers, hoping that what they believe in was the right thing to do. So there, they have a mutual respect between them because they are the same person, just on different sides. And this is probably the most touching moment in the entire series by far. So Genshin then asks him to take his sword, and he passes away. Ryu is about to leave, but hears a voice coming from behind him. Turning around is Elizabeth, and he's stepping on Genshin's head, saying how useless he was, and proceeds to straight up just kick his head. Like, damn, Elizabeth. Ryu is now pissed, so wielding Genshin's cursed blade and the true dragon sword, we fight Elizabeth again, this time defeating her, and she crumbles away. We retrieve her heart. A teleporter appears, and we jump through space and time, and we get to the other side. And with no time to react, ninjas just start attacking me like, god damn, give me a second. We then see Dagradai using more electricity on Vazdaba, but it's still not working. He needs more blood or power or something. We then somehow get to this room. The last area was covered in blood, and now we're just in this completely black room with this giant door. How did we get here? Don't know. Anyway, there's a huge door, and using all 4 of the hearts that we collected from the Greater Fiends, we can unlock the door, and we head inside the ritual room. Inside, Dagradai transforms into Dr. Octopus. There's some purple imps in here as well. Dagradai has some golden swords and shoots electricity, but we defeat the leader, and he then offers his body to Vazda. Vazda gladly accepts his offer and shoots hentai tentacles at Dagradai, impaling him. Vazda now has enough power to awaken and turns into a horseshoe crab with wings. Like, what? It's a zombie, but most definitely a horseshoe crab. Vazda then flies off, and Ryu's in hot pursuit. Upon chasing him, he's climbing up the hole, but turns around to seize us. He then unleashes a hyper beam, and then starts puking out blood and chucks it at us. Yeah, we can shoot his dangling eye there, and once we do that, his orb in his chest will light up. We can then shoot the orb with our bow for a lot of damage, but after a certain amount of damage, Vazda will just keep climbing. We climb up after him, and after doing it a few more times, we beat Vazda, and he falls all the way down the tunnel, killing him. Sonya then comes from behind and embraces Ryu as these magical orbs float out of the volcano. We did it. We have saved the world. Ryu and Sonya start climbing out, but Ryu has taken some damage and has a cut on his hand. A drop of his blood falls all the way down onto Vazda and transforms him into a super fiend, flying out of the tunnel, and Ryu then does a super massive jump outwards too. Like, why not do that during the campaign? That could have helped us out quite a bit. We are now about to fight his final form, but Ryu asks one question.
Do you have a ticket for the party?
He looks like a Hercules beetle mixed with a moth of some kind, and he's got fireballs, he got electricity, hyper beam, he can teleport, he has it all. But we got a giant flintlock, and we just start blasting. We finally defeat Vazda, and then he then starts to grow and promptly just explode. Sonya then is trying to find Ryu in the rubble, but he can't find him, fearing the worst. We see Vaz's head start to move and Sonya is scared, but underneath his head is Ryu. He's alive. Ryu and Sonya stares into the sunset and the game ends with that. And that's it. It's all over. It took about 9 hours to complete it, so it's not as long as the first game, which took me 20 hours. Mind you, I was just playing on normal, and I will remind everyone again, I didn't die unless you count those Talisman of Reaper. If you count those, I died 2 times. So like 10 times easier than the first game. But I did have fun playing it, and it was a lot of fun. There wasn't too many things that really pissed me off. Like, there wasn't too much that like really impressed me either, but I would say overall it's a really good sequel to the first one. So with that, what do you guys think about Ninja Gaiden 2? Have you guys played it? What do you guys think about the story? Do you like any of the enemies? What's your favorite boss? Tell me anything and everything about this game that you want to talk about. Leave it down in the comments. I love to read those. And with that, I'll remind everyone once again, if you like the video, please leave a like. And if you really like the video, drop a sub. And that's it. Have a great day, everyone.